leader around here. Our leadership committee met this past week or so, and excited to see if you got the notes there. If you didn't get the notes, go back and grab a copy. But we have planned out the rest of the year, and excited to see the different topics that we're going to be teaching the next few months. We meet typically on the second Friday of every month. However, if you look at the schedule there, one exception is we will not be meeting in September, because we're going to be doing the bug out camp that month instead. So if you look down our schedule real quick, next month we're going to be talking about big items. Tonight we're talking about kind of the 100 items that everybody should have, but next month we're going to narrow it down to 10 big items, meaning expensive items, things that are $200 and more is kind of where I've set that. So if you're getting into prepping, you have a little extra money to spend, and you want to know what you should get, next month is the month we're going to be talking about 10 things that you may want to get that are big items. We're also, Dan, who's not able to be here tonight, or I just haven't seen, is going to be coming, and he has built a DIY, build your own portable power station with batteries in it, way to charge, way to connect it, and that type of thing. So he's going to bring that next month, and he's going to show us how we can build one ourselves. So that'll be really good. I look forward to that. No meeting in September, but we do have our bug out camp. You'll turn your packet completely over to the back. You will see an informational sheet about our bug out camp. We had this last year for the first time and had a great event. We have people from Oklahoma and Arkansas that joined us from our sister prepper groups in those areas. So they're invited in this year. We're going to be back in that third weekend of September. And last year it was absolutely beautiful weather. And I'm hoping and praying for beautiful weather again this year. It's a good time of year to try to catch that. But we're at the Roaring River State Park. You can get there for our event as early as Thursday evening. It officially ends Sunday morning after a short church service. But if you can't stay the whole time, which most people can't, you can come as much as you can stay. If you just want to come down for one day during the day, you don't have to stay overnight. It's totally up to you. If you do want to stay overnight, we have listed on here a couple of different lodging options. You can do a campsite. Last year I rented a campsite and I brought a tent and slept in the tent. That worked out good. This year I'm upgrading a little bit. I got a campsite, but I'm bringing my RV. So we're going to sleep in a little more comfort this year. But they also have a hotel on the property, and they have places to lodge also there in Caskville. So that's all listed there if you'd like to come to our bug out camp. Once again, you do not have to stay overnight. You can come for as much as you want. If you are here during the day on Friday or Saturday, there is a cost of $10, and that includes your lunch. $10 for Friday, $10 for Saturday. Children are free. Any other questions about that? We do have an agenda. If you turn inside the back page, we have an agenda. So if you can figure out when you want to be there and what you might want to see and do, that's there. There's going to be lots of teaching, lots of discussion, lots of hands-on things that we do that entire weekend. And I think you'll enjoy it if you want to come on out and learn. It's a great opportunity. Last thing about that is, if you plan on attending, we need to know it. And how do we know? My email address is listed on that back page, swmoprepper@protonmail.com. Send me an email and say, I'm coming. And let me know who's coming, when you're going to be there, and that type of information helps us prepare food and all that stuff. So, any questions on bug out camp? By the way, if you're interested in going and you want to reserve a campsite, they have like 300, I think, campsites there, and they were down to less than 10 when I checked this week. So if you're interested and you want to use a campsite there, you probably need to reserve your campsite soon. Yes?
Yeah, I've got a question for you. My name's Todd, I'm new here. It's bug out. What do you mean campsite?
Say that again?
What do you mean campsite?
Campsite.
Yeah.
So we call it bug out camp just because it's a camp for preppers. Okay? And bugging out would imply I'm going to take my backpack and leave and go camp or live live somewhere else. So it's at Roy River State Park, and they have 300 different rentable campsites. Is that interesting? So if you want one of those rentable campsites, some of them have electricity, some of them don't, some of them are small, some of them are big, some of them are next to the river, some are not next to the river. But if you're interested in one of those campsites to stay overnight, you need to reserve that yourself. Okay, next announcements. Going down the list, back to the front page, October 13th, our October meeting here. We're going to be talking about preserving food again. A couple of months ago, we did preserving food by water bath canning, and Carol taught that. She's going to be back. She's going to teach preserving food by pressure canning food, which is what you do commonly more with beans and those types of things. So that's going to be our October meeting. November 10th meeting, Alan is teaching, is that correct? Okay, I think I remember that's what our meeting. Alan's part of our leadership team, and he's going to be teaching about skills. You know, like tonight, sometimes as preppers we focus on stuff. How much food do I need? How much water do I need? How much medicine do I need? How much ammo do I need? All the stuff about prepping. Okay, but one of the more important things about being prepared is knowledge, skills, and abilities. So what stuff do I need to know to be prepared for emergencies? And the other half of that is, if I don't know it, where can I learn it? So we're going to talk about if you need to learn to sew, or if you need to learn to can, or if you need to learn to sharpen a knife, or whatever skill it may be that Alan talks to us about, he's going to focus on where can I find a source to learn that skill. That's really important. One of the things that I'm constantly trying to do personally is learn more skills and have more knowledge so that I have that available when I need it. So that's the November meeting. December meeting, two more of our leaders, Mike and Carol, they're going to be talking about gardening. They're both master gardeners, and they're going to be talking about gardening. What do I need to plant? When do I need to plant it? How do I need to plant? And those types of things, with an emphasis on preparedness. So that will be our December meeting. I think that's a good time for that, because in December, if you're going to start a garden, you kind of got to start planning it so that when the time is appropriate, you can have that going. By the way, if you're interested, next year we haven't planned our year out as far as our topics. If you are an expert on a particular subject, or you're knowledgeable and you would like to teach, come see me. We're always looking for knowledgeable people to teach about preparedness subjects. Okay? It's always great when you don't have to listen to me, because by default, if no one else wants to teach, guess what? You gotta listen to me. So if we have other folks who are knowledgeable and subject matter experts on something and you would like to teach, come see me, and we'll try to get you on the calendar for next year. Continuing down the announcements page there online, we are part of a national group called Preppernet. And the Preppernet online is preppernet.net that we're a part of. And if you join their website, you can join anonymously. It's always nice. You don't have to give your real name, okay? And you do have to give an email address of some type. But you can join there anonymously. I use the name SWMO Prepper, so I don't have to put my name on there. And then you can join our local group as part of that national website, and that's part of how we communicate, we share thoughts and those type of things. So preppernet.net, I encourage you to join, that's free. Our YouTube channel, and so Prepared and More YouTube channel, you can just type Prepared and More. When you go to YouTube, you can find, we post all of our meetings online there, as well as some other videos that I do. The last thing that I didn't put on here, but I want to make sure you guys know about, there is the Ozarks Homestead Expo in Marshfield. Anyone familiar with that? I don't think so. They had like 3,000 people last year, and are expecting 3,400 to 4,000 people this year. So anything homesteading related, it's a great opportunity to go and learn. So it's called the Ozarks Homesteading Expo. It is in Marshfield, August 25th and 26th. I do not know. The answer there is the tickets are $40 per adult for the weekend. So they have lots of stuff. Last year I sat there for about 2 hours and watched them butcher a hog right in front of you. Great knowledge. By the way, I got in on the middle of it and they still hadn't finished. I mean, that was a long process, but it was cool to me if you like that kind of thing. But they have subjects and classes of all kinds of things and lots of vendors. So that is August 24th and 25th. It is really hot, as you can imagine. But it's a great thing over in Marshfield. I'm not connected with it in any way other than I'm going to set up a vendor booth to promote our organization. But check that out. Okay, let's get started on our topic tonight. Normally I teach with a projector and a screen and all that type of thing. I actually forgot my computer at home tonight, so we get to teach without that. But we're basically just using the list here to talk through some things. And if you Google this, you get online and you type in 100 things I need to stock or prepare with, you'll get all kinds of opinions. And you'll typically get numbered lists from 1 to 100. Has anyone counted the number of things I've listed there? I intentionally didn't number them. Can you guess why? There's not exactly 100. Well, if there is exactly 100, it's only by pure coincidence, because I didn't count them either. Okay? What I tried to do is I took several of the books. I took these two books mainly. Handbook to Practical Disaster Preparedness from Arthur Bradley, and this book, The Family Preparedness Handbook by James Stevens. This is probably the best book I could recommend to you on this particular preparedness subject. And that is how to get prepared. And what things do I need to do, and various subjects, and just a broad range. But these are actually both good books. You're welcome afterward to come up here and look at them. But I basically started looking through lists of things, and instead of giving you exact items, I kind of gave you a category with sub-listing of items that are somewhat general. Okay? So let's just start talking about some of these. By the way, at the end, I want everybody in here to participate if you can and give me something that should be on the list, but is not. Okay? So we're going to have time for your input, and that is, tell me what should be on here that's not at the end. Not at the beginning, okay? At the end. Okay, so, did you have another question, or were you just going to add something? Okay. If you have other questions, let me know. So, we're going to start with food. Now, I probably, if I would have thought about this and copied and pasted later, I probably would have started with water. Why would I start with water? And you can't live without it. You can live. How long without food, approximately? What do they say? Yeah. I learned the rule of threes. Anyone else learn the rule of threes? Okay, the rule of threes that I learned was you can't live 3 minutes without oxygen. Okay? We'll get specific here. And it can vary a little bit. There's some people can hold their breath longer than others and that type of thing. But about 3 minutes for air, about 3 days for water, and about 3 weeks for food. That's just kind of general rule of thumb. Some people are more prepared to live longer without food than others, and that type of thing. Yes, Alan? Yeah. I have not. Have you tried going 2 weeks without food? Okay. Yeah, I don't like going 3 hours without food, but maybe overnight. But other than that. Well, again, the idea here is survive. We technically, if we didn't eat anything, we could survive. A few years ago, I purchased a facility, an underground facility in Atchison, Kansas. And it was designed during the 1960s. It was designated as one of the civil defense shelters. That wasn't its actual purpose. It was a military base is what it was. But we won't go into the deep underground military base things. But when I bought it, I researched that type of thing. They wanted to put 100,000 people inside this 2.8 million square foot facility, and they stocked it with civil defense items. Okay, back in the 60s, if you had a government civil defense shelter, it was stocked with several things. Do you know what it was stocked with? Not MREs. They had radiation protection equipment, yes. Water, it had cans of water, okay? Big cans and little cans. Crackers.
And hard candy.
What's that? And hard candy. Okay. Those are the four most common items. Now you could find other ones that had other things. Okay? So they had radiation detection equipment. They had water. They had crackers, like saltine type crackers. Okay? And they had hard candy, but they didn't call the hard candy hard candy. What did they call it?
Carbohydrate.
Someone knows what they're talking about. Carbohydrate. It was just like, almost like a Jolly Ranchers type size of candy. They were coated so they didn't stick together. But they're big containers of just hard candy. So if you were going to prepare for a long time disaster event, could you make it on those four items? Oh, well, they had toilet paper. They had toilet paper. And the containers of food turned into toilets. Okay? So, could you live on all that? And that was it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, okay. Their whole point was, this is what you need to live, not thrive, but live for 2 weeks. That was their plan. If we, this is back in the, the Cold War was when everything was happening, everybody was building these underground shelters. They wanted you, if thermonuclear war happened, they wanted to keep you alive for 2 weeks because of the half-life of radiation, and anyway, they figured it would be somewhat safe to come out in 2 weeks. And you needed basically water, crackers, and hard candy.
We didn't have any like iodine for radiation poisoning.
In the research, no, I didn't see any of that. Now, they may have had some in some shelters, but that wasn't what they mainly stocked. So what we would like to do, and again, we're not about, in this group, we're not about everything is thermonuclear war. We talk about everyday preparedness, preparing for ice storms. That's what got me started to prep when we had the ice storms back in 2000, 2007, 2008. I wanted to be better prepared if we had another ice storm. We had severe weather roll through 2 nights ago. Did anyone lose electricity? Nobody? One? You flickered? Okay, yeah, mine definitely flickered because I had to reset my clocks. But so, we had power outages to roll through. You can prepare for that. So we prepare for a variety of things. Tonight, what we kind of want to focus on is 100 suggested items that you may want to think about. You want to be prepared for maybe a longer-term emergency, something that crackers and hard candy would not be sufficient. Okay? So we'll talk about these things. And what I'd like for you to do, as just a point of action, is as we think through this, probably none of us in this room have every single item on the list. But think through, what's my next step individually? Where do I need to go next? And like I said, I started this conversation thinking about water, and that would probably be a great starting point for people who are new to preparedness. Water. Okay? Again, if we can only live 3 days without any water intake, where do we get a lot of our water from? Where? Y'all totally missed the point of that question. Let me reword that. Other than actually drinking water and liquid, where do we get a significant portion of our water? Our food. Okay? Our food contains moisture. So when we say you live 3 days without any water, you kind of also have to stop eating too, because you do get moisture from water. Your body absorbs that. But we need water, and it's really important. And when we get so accustomed to be able to walk to the kitchen sink and turn it on, and water comes out, what happens when it doesn't? Panic. Especially if water not coming out is not just a temporary fix. Water not coming out is a permanent problem because something has changed in our world. Where are you going to get water? How much do you need? much does an average human use or consume or need?
5 gallons?
5 gallons or 2 gallons? Most people think that the general idea out there is approximately 2 gallons a day for your food and for your water that you need. That doesn't really include sanitation. Okay, if you want to take a shower, most of us use 30 to 60 gallons to take a shower. Okay? So we're not even talking about storing water for much more than just a sponge bath. Okay? How much water do you need? Now you start calculating that. You've got, let's just take an example here to keep the math simple. If we got 5 people in your household, and you got to have 2 gallons a day, that's 10 gallons a day times, let's say, a month. That's 300 gallons. That's a lot of water. Question?
Taking up, not a question, taking up a whole other level. What's everybody doing every other day right now? They're watering their gardens.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to have water to water your garden, to water your livestock. Those types of things, absolutely. So, minimum 2 gallons per person per day. It's almost, unless you have a buried cistern, it's almost impossible to store that much water for a long-term situation. So where are you going to get water from? Rain catchment, that's great. Perfect. Especially if you have, what's the best type of roof for that? A metal roof. Especially if you have a metal roof. Okay? And it rains. Okay? So, which is an excellent point. You know, in previous classes, we've talked about water specifically. We talk about ways to catch water, ways to treat water. And I encourage you to look up online, and I typically provide the link for it, but it's a place you go on that will tell you our rain history. Okay? And in the Springfield, Missouri area, it is not uncommon for us to have up to a 60-day period where we don't have at least a half-inch of rain sometime during that point on an individual day. If you don't have at least a half-inch of rain, you really can't catch much. So it's not uncommon every year for us to have at least a 60-day period where we don't catch any significant rain. Kind of went through that period recently, right? And if you're relying on rain catchment as your source, how much do you have to have stored? At least 60 days worth, which can be hundreds and hundreds of gallons. So you still got to have storage, but rain catchment's a great way. What's another way to have water available? Melt snow during winter. Some of our driest times of the year are during cold seasons. So absolutely, you can melt snow. Good.
Having a generator for your well, even if you just run it once a week, you get hundreds of gallons that one day, that you put in your rain catchment because it hasn't rained for a month. Turn on your well, load it up, and run your generator for that period of time.
Absolutely. A generator rotation is something I have as part of my preps, and I have fuel for that. I have a plan for that. Hopefully I have a well pump that's still working, because I have a well that goes down hundreds of feet, brings up crystal clear cold water, and that's great. What if you don't have a generator, or what if you don't have a well or a well pump? We teach, one of the things we've taught in here before is a well bucket, something you can lower down into the well and bring water up. Not fun, but I can bring up about 2 gallons full. And so that means if I've got 5 people, I gotta send it down and bring it back up about 5 times a day, and I've got water. I have a spring on my property. That's a great thing to have if you have that. Maybe you have a river or a lake nearby. So those types of sources. But water is really important. And I went down a rabbit hole there. I didn't spend much time on water. Anyway, let's go back to our list, since we have not even talked about one item on that list. Okay, we're going to start with food, okay? So the number one thing I have there, again, talking about sustainability. Okay? If you're trying to stock what you need without ever being able to get more, you've got to stock a whole lot more stuff if you don't ever plan on getting more. But if you can garden, and you're good at it, okay, you can replenish your stockpile of food, right? Okay, but you have to have the skills. Well, you got to have the seeds, the supplies, the tools, and the skills. Okay?
And a lot of luck.
And a lot of luck. And some rain. And some rain occasionally, hopefully. But I am not a master gardener. That's why in our December meeting, we had 2 people coming to teach us that are master gardeners that are not me. Okay? I do not have a green thumb. But I'm doing really good to keep my 3 fruit trees, plus my 2 citrus trees, and my 2 aloe vera plants alive. And I'm really happy with that. But I have extra seeds stored back. I have raised bed gardens that I don't have anything in right now that I can quickly put some stuff in. But gardening, it's really important to have that stuff, have those skills and stuff you need. A place, a property, a place where you can have it. If you're living in an apartment, you probably don't have a place for a garden. Okay? But if you have a house or land, that's good. Next thing, hunting, fishing, supplies, and skills. And a really important thing there that you could use to replenish your supply. I know people who are like, when it all hits the fan, I'm moving to the national forest, and I'm going to hunt and forage and be a lone wolf for the rest of my life. Along with thousands of other people, okay? Because all the people who don't have a plan, but they got a gun, guess where they're going? They're going to the national forest to find the deer and the rabbit and the squirrel and whatever's there. And just like American settlers hunted the buffalo to extinction almost, what's going to happen to the animal population when thousands of hungry people, thousands and thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of hungry people hit the national forest trying to survive?
During the Depression, almost all the deer population was wiped out in this area.
Absolutely.
There was less than 140, and they were on just about 100 acres. And that was during the Depression. Some people never even missed a beat during the Depression. They didn't even know that it really happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but when all those deers go away, and all those squirrels, and all those rabbits, and even those deer that go moo, you get problems.
I do not believe that lone wolf in the forest is a viable option in any way. I think all the wildlife is going to be gone. I also believe all of the cattle and sheep and goats and domestic livestock are going to be gone pretty quick. Okay, dogs too, yeah, probably so. You know, they're going to be a meat source. And sadly, most of that meat, especially on the larger animals, I think is going to be wasted. Why? People don't know how to preserve it. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to butcher a cow. But they see somebody's cow in the field, they're going to kill it. And try to skin it, try to get whatever meat they can eat that day or the next day out of it. But the rest of it's going to rot. Sadly. So we do need to have some hunting and fishing skills. I actually think fishing is a little more sustainable than hunting. It's a little bit harder to fish something completely empty in this neck of the woods. But hunting and fishing supplies are important. But it shouldn't be your only life-sustaining skill there.
I disagree on the fishing.
Okay, go ahead.
Back during COVID, when the Missouri Conservation Department stopped requiring licenses, we had a friend go up to a place out in the middle of nowhere, few people know about. They went out during the week, it was shoulder to shoulder around the lake, and nobody was catching anything.
Wow. Okay, maybe I'm wrong on that. It's very possible. I actually kind of thought about that. At some point in time, I would like to get a a pond on my property and stock it with fish. And maybe that would be a little less vulnerable to being overfished, because I can keep people away from the edge of the pond. Yes?
What kind of fish would you stock it?
You know, I did some research several years ago when I was doing this, and I don't know. I like bass, crappie, probably some catfish down in there, but it's going to depend on the depth of my pond when I actually build a pond. So, and the name was Great Judy. Great Judy. About stocking the pond. Okay. The next thing on our list, a variety of dried beans in bulk, white rice in bulk, rolled oats, oatmeal, wheat berries, instant potatoes, dried potatoes, popcorn. Those there, I'm talking about, listen really quick to kind of group them together. All that stuff, you want a variety of. When I talk about beans, there's a variety of beans you can get. Don't just get pinto beans. Get kidney beans and white beans and lima beans, whatever your family would potentially eat. You get a variety of that. Now we have Cheryl Lynn with us. Wave your hand back there. Okay. She comes to our meetings and owns Down to Earth Foods in Stratford. Now, she has business cards and information, so you can see her. She's going to stick around at the end of the meeting. But she is basically, her specialty is bulk foods. So if you want a big bag of beans, like a 25-pound bag of beans, or flour, organic items, hard to get foods and that type of thing in bulk, that's her expertise. And she has a storefront in Stratford that's open by appointment. But mainly what she does is she takes orders and she will deliver them to you here in the Springfield area. She'll meet you in the parking lot or something, the library or here, and give you your order. But if you're wanting bulk foods, bulk dried foods particularly, so beans, all the stuff I just mentioned, beans, the rice, the oats, the wheat berries, all that type of stuff, she is a local source of getting that stuff. And so come talk to her at the end of the night. She would love to talk to you about what she has available. She has a price list and all that, very reasonably priced. You can buy it in a bag, or if you want it pre-stored in 5-gallon buckets, she has it that way also. Various things. Question?
Can we get a phone number?
You can go talk to her at the end. She has business cards back there. So wave your hand again back there. There she is. Okay. And I will try to remember to give her a shout out at the end of class too. But she has all that bulk stuff ready to buy. She has most of it in stock. What she doesn't have in stock, she can order and she can get for you. She has organic stuff, I believe. You have some organic stuff. Okay, non-GMO stuff, that type of stuff. So she has, she kind of specializes in getting some of that healthier stuff that you would like. So see her definitely after the class. So food items, you need a lot of that. That's kind of the bulk of what you're going to use for your diet. I have on our YouTube channel, when you get that stuff, for example, you can get a 25-pound bag of popcorn. Y'all like popcorn, right? What do you get popcorn for? You just like popcorn? Yeah, for movies, right? For movie night, okay? Yeah. So popcorn is great for that. And you can pop popcorn, and if you know how to do it without a microwave, you know, now we're so used to microwaving popcorn in a microwave, and we don't know how to cook it on the stove like my mom used to do when I was a kid. But we stock popcorn not necessarily for a treat. Okay, we stock popcorn because you can grind it and you get cornmeal out of it. Okay, so for example, if you bought a bag of popcorn, okay, from Shirley back there, the ideal way to be, you could store it in just its bag, but it's not going to last as long. But you're going to want to put it in Mylar bags, foil-looking bags, and put it in a 5-gallon bucket. That's how you typically store this stuff. I have a good video that we did for a class here. We did it a few months ago, maybe a year ago. It teaches you how to properly store that in Mylar, in 5-gallon buckets and that type of stuff. So I highly recommend this. What I've done is I bought stuff is I take it, I buy a 5-gallon bucket, I get a Mylar bag, I do oxygen absorbers, and I properly seal it there. And you can get, depending on the particular product, up to 25 to 30 years out of that storage method. So definitely, as you get this stuff, you're going to need to store it properly. You can, especially for those starting out, store it in smaller quantities. And when you do this, any of the stuff you pick up typically at the grocery store, you're going to need to use FIFO, F-I-F-O. First in, first out. If you don't understand what that is, basically, it's based upon the expiration dates, which I don't, expiration dates are not written in stone, okay? By the way, you can easily use most things other than like milk way past its expiration date, okay? And there's a website on the front page, stilltasty.com. Stilltasty.com. That is the ultimate guide to expiration dates. You can literally type in leftover macaroni and cheese, and it'll tell you how long it's good. You can type in it, Kraft macaroni and cheese in the box. How long is it good past the expiration date? Okay, stilltasty.com, excellent website. Okay, but you can buy stuff at the store and then use FIFO, first in, first out. That means the first thing you bought. When you buy multiple ones of it, okay, later and later, you keep using the first one you bought. You use it first. So the first in, first one you got, is the first one you use. Okay? That rotates your food. And if you will, just as a family, this is a great way to start being prepared, is just buy more of what you already buy each time you go to the grocery store. Okay? Just buy more of it, rotate it, and that builds your supply. And you already know it's something you'll eat because you're already buying it. Okay? For example, and I'm not recommending that this is healthy eating. Okay? We're not talking healthy here, okay? But Kraft macaroni and cheese or store brand macaroni and cheese is a great prep item. Why? Kids will eat it. Okay? Virtually everybody, when they're hungry, will eat macaroni and cheese. Okay? It does have some nutritional content to it. Okay? This per serving is, if you make it with water, is 260 calories. Make it with milk is 360 calories. So it does have some nutritional content to it. Okay? But it will last for years, just like this. And if you do the first in, first out, and you rotate it, okay, you can move on. Yes, I saw hands back there. Yes.
I was going to say approximately about 2 years, but then you have to kind of start worrying about the bug issue.
Bug issues, absolutely.
But that's extra protein, you know.
Extra protein, there you go. So the other thing that I highly recommend along those same lines is oatmeal. I eat oatmeal like this almost every day. So what do? I have a 6-month supply of this, and when I buy a new one, I stick it at the back and grab the oldest one off the front. Okay? Again, it has good nutritional content. Again, a lot of kids will eat it because this is the sweet, yummy stuff. Okay? But anything like that, if you want to buy a bigger container of oats, any of the vegetables, canned vegetables that you eat, I've got mixed vegetables here. I've got green beans. We've got peas, ranch-style beans, fruit cocktails. This is all stuff that I just grabbed off the shelf of my pantry. This isn't my long-term storage. My long-term storage is in the 5-gallon buckets in the basement. It's packed and sealed for 25 years. But I have all this kind of stuff, okay, in my pantry that I rotate in and out, first in, first out. I've got Vienna sausages. This is one of those things, either you like them or you don't, okay? But it's protein, okay? Lots of processed meat, lots of preservatives. Tuna, okay? I do a lot of tuna in the packages like this. Used to be able to get them for $1. Now with inflation, they're more than that. But they'll last a long time. They don't have to be refrigerated, and they give you a lot of protein. So things like that, just buy more of what you normally buy and rotate it. It's important that you do the rotation or you're going to waste your food. I see you here.
Yeah, question with respect to the canned and those, packets of, tuna. Thank you.
Tuna,
They don't need to be refrigerated. And I am now in not a homestead situation, no, root cellar or anything like that. I do have canned goods that I've been stocking up on. With regard to the temperature,
Okay, so,
I don't store mine in the garage because it gets hot out there. And I'm just wondering if you have any knowledge of what the high limit in storing something like that would be.
so it's a great question, and it applies to virtually anything we store. Everything from storing your ammo to storing your food items, okay, is the condition in which you store it. Ideally, okay, cool, 60 degrees, okay, low humidity, and no sunlight. That's ideal, okay? Now, so, let's go with those again. Ideally cool, 60 degrees, typically, low humidity, and no sunlight, or minimal sunlight. Okay, that's ideal. And that's what most of your expiration dates are going to be based upon. If you're storing it in your garage, but you said you're not, but I'm just in general. I did catch that you said you're not. Some people, I'm going to put my food in the garage or my outside storage building that is not climate controlled. Okay?
And this goes back to years ago. I happened to have found some canned goods stored in the, or just in the garage, were left in the garage. I found them in a bag, shopping bag that was left on a shelf and got buried. And it was through the summer, probably a couple of months anyway, in that hot temperature. And I knew it wasn't gonna be good, but I opened it anyway, and it was pretty rancid.
Yeah. So anything that drastically deviates from those conditions is going to deteriorate your food more quickly, other than if you get colder, okay? And some foods freeze well, some foods don't. But if you go from 60 degrees over, you're able to store it at 50 degrees, that's better. But if you go up to 80 degrees, that's going to be worse. 90 degrees, that's worse. 100 degrees, or this time of year where your garage can get 120, yeah, your food is going to deteriorate much more quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to pay attention to that. Ideally, around this area, many people have basements. Basements are a great place, with one exception. What's wrong with most basements?
Humidity.
Humidity. They're very humid, so I have to run a dehumidifier in my basement constantly because that's where I keep a lot of my stored items. Okay, so but it is typically darker.
All that preparation basically requires electricity.
It does.
In order to have temperature controlled food storage, basically electricity.
Yeah.
So if the grid goes down, all that.
But I'm going to start eating my stuff, so the expiration date no longer has to start for 30 years. So, yeah, but absolutely, yeah. You got to have a plan for that. So there are different things you can use for humidity, absorbers and that type of thing. Your desiccant pellets, which is what most of your absorbers you stick in gov cabinets and that type of thing, those need to be monitored because they will absorb as much as they can, and then they don't absorb anymore. And so you have to increase moisture anyway. We are only about 10 down our list, and we are over almost halfway through the meeting. So I got to keep going. So we're going to that better come. That's good. So pasta is the next thing on our list that we didn't talk about. Pasta is a great long-term storage item. Just as you buy it off the shelf, it can store in a properly good pantry for a long time. But again, you can put it stored with oxygen absorbers in Mylar bags in a 5-gallon bucket, and you can get very long-term storage out of pasta. hard candy. We talked about one of like 5 things the government gives us to survive on back in